Hello beautiful, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, I'm Chanel. If you're not new, well, thank you for coming back. So yes, we're about to get into a declutter. So I had previously did this declutter video probably earlier this year or last year, but you know, it's time for another round of decluttering. We got some stuff to declutter. We got foundations. We got what was the other thing? We got lip products. We got eyeshadow palettes, y'all. Possibly highlighters coming next after that. Then maybe even loose powders, girl. I don't know, but we gotta make this. We gotta declutter and not quite become a minimalist, because I'm loving makeup and there's a lot of it out there, but getting rid of the stuff that I don't need and that I don't use. So, yes. So that is what I wanted to let you guys know. So we're going to go ahead and get on with these videos. Alright you guys, so as you guys can see a small section here of my eyeshadow palettes. This of course was my thumbnail, as you can see. And I have a lot more palettes over there to the side that you cannot see, but they're like over there. So we're going to get into this. I know you guys can see, of course, don't mind my nails, haven't done them. I know you can see my white t-shirt. I'm relaxed today. I am masking. And I need to go through my eyeshadow palettes. I have a lot of them, and I'll bring some more out as we go through this. And I can't keep them all. I don't know when this video is going up, but I am filming this on the 29th of September. It is early in the morning. Hubby left to go to work, so it's not even 7 o'clock in the morning. And have already started going through my eyeshadow palettes. I have already given some away like 2 weeks ago, and like I didn't film those. So we're just going to go through each palette, and I'm still going to let some more go, and I'm going to share it with you guys. So let's get started. Alright you guys, we are going to start with some of these here. I just have these just sitting here. We're going to go ahead and start with these. So this is, sorry about the camera angle, this was just the best angle I could film this at right now. So this is the Bella Pierre. By the way, I'm doing anything that comes in a palette form. Not just eyeshadows, not just blushes, not just contour palettes. I'm doing anything that comes in a palette form. Just to let you guys know that. Alright, so this is my Bella Pierre Cosmetics. This is the Pro Concealer Palette. This came in a BoxyCharm. And if I can... Ooh, okay. I cannot open this baby. So this is what the palette looks like. As you can see, I have used a lot of the products that are... a lot of this shade here for color correcting. As you can see, I have hit pan. I haven't really used it in the last... couple months, honestly, and I honestly am going to get rid of it because this is a cream product and I don't want to get any breakouts due to having this for so long. So I'm going to go ahead and let this one go, but I really did love this shade, and I love the purple to brighten underneath my eye. So this next palette here, I don't know if you guys know this, but this came when I went to Juno Beauty. And this is currently in my project pan until I change, no, I mean not my project pan, my everyday makeup drawer, my everyday makeup bag until I change that out. So this is what the colors look like. Very, very pretty shades. I have really been using this during work, like going to work every day. I won't even pop on a matte eyeshadow. I'll just take my finger and use one of these and take it like this. I think I'll use this color here. Put it right there on my hand, spread it out, and use the brush to blend out the edges. And that's it. It's a very subtle sheen, but that's how I've been working it. Alright, so if you can see that, it's a very subtle sheen there. That's what I just put on my lid, and I call it a day, and I go to work. So I will be keeping this because I'm really actually liking it now that I'm getting back into it. This palette here is from Ace Beauty. Came in a BoxyCharm. It is very pigmented, very pretty, as you can see. I have played with it. I really do like this shade here, which is called Primrose, and I like the shade Jasmine. but I don't want to keep this, and I like Poppy. But I don't want to keep this palette for those 3 shades when there's 2, 4, 5 other shades that I'm not going to use. I am going to see if I can gift this to a friend. This one here, why does my palette look like this? Girl, no. This palette is from Morphe, as you can see. This is the Morphe Nightmaster N15 palette. So this one came in a BoxyCharm. This is what the palette looks like. It's a very neutral palette. There's some, got some deep purples in here, but if you cover this up, it's basically a complete neutral palette. I am not a neutral girl, you guys. I am not about that life. So, I only like those 3 shades. Out of this whole entire palette, those 3. I think I might have used this palette like once or twice. And, yeah, that's it. I'm giving this away to a friend. These 2 palettes here, these are BoxyCharm palettes too. Nothing against BoxyCharm in any way. It's just some of the palettes they chose to put into the boxes weren't my favorite. So here we go. We have 2 of these Tarte palettes here. Very pretty packaging. I love the packaging. It's just so gorgeous. I don't really remember which one was my first one. I think it was this one. And this is the Rainforest of the Sea Volume 2. And then this one here is the Rainforest of the Sea Volume 3. So this is the 2 one. These are the shades that are in this palette. Very, very pretty shades. Very pretty. I think I've used this palette probably a handful of times. Okay, probably 2 handful of times. And I just don't pick it up very often because like these 2 here and that, well, I can't use that one, but these 3 here are like the matte shades. The rest are all shimmers. It's a very pretty palette and it's very pigmented, so it is nice, but I don't use it. This one here, I don't use this one at all. This is the 3rd one. Every shade in here is a shimmer shade except for this one right there. I can't use that at all. It is not my skin tone. It can't be a transition shade for me, so we are just going to let this one go. I know exactly who I'm going to give this palette to. Alright, next we got this Butter London palette. This one came in a BoxyCharm. Very pretty palette, very pretty. Here are the shades. The shades are very pretty. My only issue is I don't like this blue shade. It is not super pigmented on my skin tone. The rest of these shades are so pretty. This is the only matte shade and the rest are all shimmers. Very pretty. I'm not sure how I feel about this palette. Like I said, I've only had it for a short amount of time, so I might keep it to continue to play with it just a little longer. This palette here. This is the Tarte Pro To Go palette. Tarte palette, yes. And well, yeah. Okay, I think this came in a Boxy Luxe. And we're just gonna go, I'm just gonna open it and go right into it with you guys. So if you've never seen this palette before, this palette comes with 2 side mirrors on each side. We just move those out the way so we won't get distracted. This is what the palette looks like. Okay, compare the palette to my arm here. Can you guys see the difference here? Now I was really trying to work it. This is a pretty highlighter shade. That's a pretty pink highlighter shade. And the blushes, well, I didn't actually touch them. This is a shimmer bronzer. This is a matte bronzer. I was using this one as a all over face powder. I am not going to keep this palette for 1 shade. I'm just not going to do it. That's a big palette for 1 shade, and I don't even go into this palette very often. So I'm going to declutter this one too. Don't worry, I have a friend. I know exactly who I'm going to give this one to. Alright, next up, you guys, we got Wet n Wild. So I don't have many drugstore palettes. Here is the Wet n Wild palette here. It's a very pretty palette, in all honesty. Very, very pretty. I don't really care for this blue shade here, but overall I do like the shades. I am going to keep this palette because I do dabble in it every now and then. And this, like I said, I don't have very many drugstore eyeshadow palettes, and I honestly think this might be my only one. So I'm keeping this one. Next, we got this Tarte palette that just came in my BoxyCharm. And if you have not seen that BoxyCharm video, I'm pretty sure it is still up. So I'll go ahead and link it up in the cards right over here. Because I did get another one. If you did not know, I get 2 BoxyCharm boxes. I pay for both of them. And there's one of these currently in a giveaway. So let me show you what the palette looks like. This is what the palette looks like. It's a very, very pretty palette. It has a very pretty mirror as well. Now, the funny thing is I can use every single shade in this palette. Probably not really that white shade right here, but other than that, I can pretty much use 90% of this entire palette. I'm keeping this palette. I love the pigmentation. If you haven't seen me do a video on this palette, I do have like a little small video I did. I'll have it linked up in the cards for you to check it out as well. But this one is staying. This one here, if you guys been watching me for a while, you guys know that I love this palette. This is from Alamar Cosmetics. And this is what the inside of the palette looks like. The palette is freaking gorgeous. It is so pretty. This came out, I think, summer of last year. I don't know if you can see from this angle, but there is a hole, like a deep hole in this shade right here. I love this palette. I will be bringing this out for fall because to me these are fall shades as well, but it did come out during the summer. Very pretty palette. Alright, so next we got the Alamar Cosmetics. This is a blush palette. Like I said, we're doing all palettes here. This came in a BoxyCharm as well. This palette is so freaking pretty. It's so pretty. Look at these shades. Every shade in here shows up on my skin tone. I love this palette. Next here, this is my only MAC eyeshadow palette right here. This was in collaboration with Patrick Starr. I think it came out during spring of, or I don't know, it came out sometime last year. It's staying. Next, we're going to move on to the Pure Soiree Diaries palette. This came in a BoxyCharm. I want to say it was last year. Was it last year? Nope, it wasn't last year. It was 2017. The only reason why I know that is because I wrote the year on the back. So I know when the palette came out. So here is the palette. This is a very gorgeous neutral palette. It's a neutral but warm tone palette. This one is staying. I love this palette. Next, we're going to go ahead and jump into my ColourPop little case here. I bought this case. It was completely empty. And I filled it with eyeshadow palettes. So, as you can, not eyeshadow palettes, single shadows. Well, not single shadows. I deconstructed some of the palettes I have, like the Isla Sada E eyeshadow palette, along with some single shadows. And I put them all in here, so I really do love the shades. Some of the shades I do not use. This is my bronzer that I've been loving. And this is a highlighter I bought from ColourPop. As you can see, my bronzer here is like, this is in the shade Rodeo Drive. It's like, I've hit pan. I really do love that shade. I have to order me another one. This palette is staying exactly how it is right now until I decide to go through all of the eyeshadows and take out what I'm not using. This here is Modern Renaissance. I'm going to show you what it looks like if you don't know what it looks like. But this is staying. Why? Because this is just so gorgeous. It's so pretty. And yes, this is staying in my collection. We're just going to go through all the Anastasia palettes like right now because I ain't getting rid of none of them. So I got the Sultry palette here. This one is gorgeous. Haven't really went through this one a lot. This is a true neutral palette. Very pretty. This gray shade here is so pretty. So I'll be playing with this. As you guys can see, I've never taken out the brush. The brush is still in there. But yeah, this is staying. I have the Anastasia Prism palette. This is a very pretty palette as well. Have you guys seen all those Norvina palettes that just came out? 1, 2, and 3. Those are gorgeous, but I can't get myself to buy those right now. So here is the Prism palette. Very, very pretty palette. I really do love the shades in here. You know, everyone has their own, you know, mixed feelings about it, but I love the shades. I'm keeping this palette. I bought it. It's mine. I think the last Anastasia palette that I have in my collection is this one. I feel like I'm missing one, but I can't think right now. But anyways, so this is the last one that I have in my palette. I really do want that really, really bright pink one. I don't know who it's by, I forget. I mean, not by, but who's in collaboration with Anastasia. But that bright pink palette is so pretty. I want that one. I just haven't went to go get it yet. But anyways, this one here is in collaboration with Jackie Aina. This just recently came out, I believe, in the month of September. Or was it the month of August? I don't know. But it's very, very pretty. Just gotten it. Here is the palette. I have done a couple looks on my channel with this palette. These shades are gorgeous. There's my phone. Next we have this ColourPop eyeshadow palette. This came out, I believe, in 2017, and this was a Sephora exclusive eyeshadow palette with ColourPop. Yeah, it was holiday 2017. I still have this palette, and in all honesty, you guys, I really do not use this palette. I don't, but it's so freaking gorgeous. The pigmentation is there. It is beautiful, and I need to get myself to use it more. So this holiday season, I will be pulling this out to use it. Yes. Alright, next, you guys, we have this contour palette by Anastasia Beverly Hills. This was my first high-end ever contour palette that I purchased and that I've had in my collection, and this is what it looks like. This is the powder form. A lot of these shades in here I used as eyeshadow, like this one. These two here I used as eyeshadow. This one's like more of a shimmery face finisher, or to set your highlight with. Well, in all honesty, you guys, I don't use this palette. I don't pick it up. I have used quite a bit of this shade because it's getting low in the pan. But other than that, I don't touch this palette at all. I haven't touched this palette in probably 6 or 8 months. This is the Persona palette. A YouTuber here on YouTube came out with this palette. So I think about a few days after the palette came out or released, I purchased this palette. Then I went back a week later. I purchased 2 more palettes, and I gave 2 away in previous videos when this palette first came out. This is a gorgeous palette. I'm happy I picked it up. Mine's, unfortunately, one of the shades broke on delivery, so I don't have this shade here. That shade is completely gone, but other than that, this palette is so pretty, so pigmented. I love the shades in here. I know she just came out with the Persona 2 palette. I'm not really into that palette, but I do love this one, and this one is staying. Next, I have another palette. This is the Beauty Bakery Scoops palette. This is what the palette looks like. Very, very pretty. I love the packaging. And else what the shadow, I mean okay. Not just to mention that the whole graphics on here is gorgeous too. Anyways, these are what the powders look like. So this is a blush palette, but I used it for blush. I've used it for eyeshadow. Very, very pretty. Very, very pigmented. These pans are huge, and it's staying. That's all I can say. You guys, I'm not doing a very good job decluttering. I got more staying than being decluttered. So this is a blush palette from e.l.f. I know it's getting kind of old, so I've had this for a while. So what is that on here? So next we have the Pure Festival palette. This came in a BoxyCharm as well. This is what it looks like if you've never seen this palette before. So this is what the palette looks like. It's a very, very pretty palette. If you cover up those 2 glitter shades and those 2 shades right there, you pretty much have a neutral palette. Very, very pretty neutral palette. And it's a nice palette. I really do, but I don't use this palette. I don't pick it up. I don't gravitate towards it. I don't be like, ooh, I want to use the festival palette today. I don't do that. So we're going to find you a good home. Next, we have this Juvia's palette here. This is the Zulu palette. Very, very pretty. Love Juvia's Place. Love the pigmentation on their palettes. Love their pan size. Now, I probably won't ever get through this entire palette anytime soon. I'm keeping this one. I'm also keeping the Masquerade palette, which looks like this one. This is a mini. Here are the eyeshadows. If you have not ever seen me play with this palette, this is what it looks like. So it's like a neutral palette at the bottom, or everyday palette at the bottom, and then like vibrant colors at the top. That's staying. Here's another one. I have this one as well. This is the Saharan palette. This is a mini. And those are the shades. Very pretty. Love the palette. It's staying. And then I have one more. And this one here is the Nubian 2 palette. Very pretty. Very everyday eyeshadow palette. Very gorgeous and fun. And yes, loving this palette. Violet Vase. So this is the Holy Grail palette. This came in a Boxy Luxe, I want to say, a Boxy Luxe box. So this, this is what the palette looks like. This is a very pretty palette. I really haven't played with it much, which I need to break it out and play with it. I probably won't utilize I won't utilize the first 3 to 4 shades up here, but all the other shades I can use. Very neutral, pretty palette, and I just love the shades. So this one's staying. We're almost done, you guys. I'm just moving some stuff over. I'm moving everything I'm keeping over here because it's like taking up too much room. We got two more little piles. So this is the ColourPop Honey palette. Very pretty, very lovely, gorgeous palette. They came out with a lot of these palettes. I was only intrigued for the yellow one. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? That is pretty. Love it. This is staying. This one here, this is the ColourPop Take Me Home palette. Every declutter, this ends up in a declutter, and I always tell myself I'm going to use it. I'm going to use it. I declutter it. I pull it out. And then here we are again. I love ColourPop's pigmentation. I love their eyeshadow palettes. This one is just a little mini, like an everyday one. I'm going to compare this to my other ColourPop shadows. And if I have these shades, I'm going to let it go. This is the ColourPop in collaboration with Kathleen Lights. This is their Dream Street palette. Very gorgeous palette. Love this palette. Here we go. The shades are gorgeous. Look at those shades. Yes. Yes. Ooh. Comparing. Let me compare these. Comparing these. Okay. Alright. I don't know if y'all can see it, but these two shades look similar. I have this other ColourPop palette in collaboration with Makeup ShaneillH. Here is what those shadows look like. So I'm kind of comparing them to these other two palettes right here. I can get them up here in frame with you guys. And there is a lot of similarities. I also have this ColourPop palette here. This is Cute AF. Because I wanted the cover to look nice for a long period of time, I just put tape on the front of it so it won't be get dirty so fast. So here is what the palette looks like. It's very, very pretty. Like I said, there are similar, as I'm opening this little baby back up, there are very similar shades, but not quite similar enough for me to get rid of it. So this is the palette. This is what it looks like. It's very, very pretty. This is ColourPop's very first eyeshadow palette they came out with. That's another reason why it's staying in my collection. This one came out in 2017. Very, very pretty. They still sell this palette today. Love it, love it, love it. So this is a Morphe palette that I've picked up. Now, out of all the Morphe palettes I have bought over the last couple years, I have gotten rid of so many of them. And this is one that I currently still have in my collection. This is the Morphe Jewel 9C palette. So this is what the palette looks like. It's very, very pretty. This is the main reason why I kept it in my collection, because it's pretty. I can use these shades every single day. It's gorgeous. I love this palette. Moving on to contour palettes again. Mind you guys, I just got rid of a contour palette. This is by Black Radiance. This is their contour palette. This is in medium to dark. I picked mine up at Target. So this is what the shades look like. The shades are pretty. This is their highlight. I don't really go for the highlight. I just don't like the highlight in here. I like the contour and I like the sculpting shades. So because 2 out of 3, I'm going to keep this palette. I do not use the highlight at all, but these contour shades are nice. Next we have the Cover FX contour palette that just came in a box. I mean, it didn't just come in a BoxyCharm, but it came in BoxyCharm earlier this year. And I got the one that's deep to medium. Very, very pretty, very pigmented one. I also got the other one that was light to tan or something like that. But that one I gave away to a friend because, you know, I can't use it. But these are the shades. The shades are so pretty. I love this blush. This is a gorgeous, pretty blush. Look at this contour. I have been using this. And this is a finishing powder that I really don't use at all. I love the highlight. I love the brightening. And I love this highlight over here. I really need to try to use this a little more. So you guys most likely will see me use this more on my channel. So this will be staying. Alright you guys, so we're going to go over everything one more time. This is the only item that I will be throwing away. Yep, this is gone. These here are palettes that I am gifting to friends because they didn't make the cut, so they're gone. Oh, you guys, I forgot this one here. This palette here, this is from Beauty. This is another, I say drugstore, but it's affordable eyeshadow palette. This one's in Nearly Nude. Honestly, I didn't care for this palette. And I can't even open this. Hold on. Alright, so as you can see, I opened the palette. I didn't care for the palette. Like this shade here, it changes colors when you rub your finger in there. It's not the same shade that appears on the pan. This one's the same way. It's not the same shade that appears. This one as well. Now the pigmentation is there, as you guys can see. I don't know if you guys can see that. But yeah, the pigmentation is there. I personally just don't like this palette. It's like, the powders feel dry to me. And I'm not about that life. So, this one is going to be donated as well. Alright you guys, so these are all my eyeshadow palettes that I will be keeping in my collection as of right now. This one here, that still might be a maybe. I'm not really quite sure. But yeah, this is everything that's staying in my eyeshadow collection, eyeshadow palette collection as of right now. Yeah. This is still a lot to me. I gotta figure out how I'm going to store all this, seeing that my storage situation will be changed for a few months. So I gotta figure that part out. But other than that, this is everything I am keeping. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give me a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, please go ahead and consider subscribing. If you have not seen my currently ongoing giveaway, this is currently going on right now, I'll leave a link up there in the cards for that video if you would like to enter the giveaway or know what is all going to be all consistent or ongoing added to that giveaway, which will be linked up there in the cards. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you again later. Bye.